Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Valeria and this is the Off-Road Range. My long-time subscribers know that I have 10,000 square meters of land that I am building a dream place on. As early as 1.5 years ago, in videos number 1 and number 2, I talked about how I wanted a big house, garage, bathhouse, pond, orchard and apiary. I live alone. I make all the money myself, and I don't have sponsors. So the progress always goes slowly. So far, as of the end of October 2024, I have cut down a total of 2,500 square meters of wild vegetation and built a box of a small house of 30 square meters so that I have a place to live. It still has no water, no flooring, no appliances or furniture, but at least it has electricity, which means warmth in the winter. I also bought a trailer and a shipping container as storage, and I also bought an old Jeep, which is now in dire need of urgent repairs. At the end of the year, I will dedicate one video to the condition of my Jeep so you can see clearly. And now, almost 2 years after I bought the land, I am gradually starting to get into beekeeping. And today I want to tell you about my first experience with hives and bees. A few months ago, I was given the old hives for free. I have a total of 7 hives. Many of them and their contents look worn out, so I have 2 important tasks today: to prepare the site for the hives and to go through the hives, determining their condition and quality. In my entire plot, among the impenetrable thickets and among the area I have cleared, I have chosen a spot amongst a young orchard that is not fruiting and cleared a site deep into it. Temporarily, the hives will be located here. In this location, the hives will be pretty well protected from strong winds and prying eyes, and the shade of the trees will hide the hives from the heat. They are also close to the container where I will also store the hive components. The container also protects the hives from the wind. This place is temporary, but nevertheless the hives should be logical and comfortable, because maybe if the hives are in good condition, someone will move in. In that case, I will need to inspect them, and a small garden will help in making both me and the bees feel comfortable. These hives are over 20 years old, handmade and well cared for, though they are very well kept for their age. But as the owner told me, they were stored last winter in an unheated and ventilated garage where mice lived, so they have deteriorated a lot. All the hives need to be inspected and cleaned. Some of them are in poor condition and need to be restored because water got on them through the hole in the roof of the old garage, and boards soaked with honey residue were eaten by mice. Also, the high humidity has contributed to the spread of mold and fungus. A leaky, cold, unprotected place is definitely not a good place to store quality material. Now I need to go through them. This brush is new and is only used for cleaning the hives. The gloves are also new and only used for working with bees because bees are very sensitive to odors. Since I don't want to piss them off, I have to wear the same cloth, which will eventually take on the odor of honey and won't stand out when working with the hives. Now I shall check whether they are wet or not. This procedure is done with all hives. I was also given boxes of frames and beeswax. When I get into beekeeping more fully and in depth, I will tell you about how the hives are organized and other interesting things. For now, I will just say briefly that this box is homemade and inside is where the frames are stored. There is wax on the frame, which is a net made of natural wax. Bees used it to make honeycombs and then to fill them with honey or breed new bees. I will show you a closer look at them later. The smell is just incredible. So sweet, so tasty. This is how really honey smells, not just sugar with water. And I will not touch them with my hands because I wore gloves and I had smell of it. Smell of sweat and plastic and perhaps oil and dust. And that is bad for bees. I think there are dozens of them, and in fact they are very, very expensive. The fire treatment is done to burn out dust residue from corners and crevices, as well as fungus, mold and moth larvae if I couldn't sweep them out with a brush. Also, I dry them if there are still damp spots. The fire also melts the wax, which also disinfects, melts and covers the hives in a continuous thin layer. You may notice that part of the roof seems to have been knocked off. It was partially eaten by mice. Most likely, there was some honey residue on this part of the roof or its odor that attracted mice. So, I have partially prepared the hive site and put the most intact hives on pellets. Today I need to burn the inner covers of the hive to prepare the hive for possible settlement. I will not be buying any beehives, as this is my first experience and I am not sure I can take enough time to learn how to handle them properly. In addition, as a rule, beekeepers have at least a few bee families at once, for example 5, 6, and plant them in prepared hives, and have all the necessary tools and containers for preparing and disinfecting wax, for pumping out honey, for treating bees against mites, and so on. I don't have the opportunity to purchase all of the things right now. Therefore, my few hives are experimental. Maybe someone will move in and I will be lucky if it is not wasps, hornets, or wild angry bees. Now I am firing partitions which I needed to limit the bees' working space. For example, they divide the hive into pods if there are not enough bees to occupy the whole hive. These partitions do not look attractive. An inexperienced person will even decide to throw them away. But it is actually a very high quality expensive wooden product that needs to be cleaned and then it will last another 15 years. It all depends on use and care. Humans can live surrounded by plastic furniture, but you cannot fool the bees. Their homes are much higher quality and cleaner than our homes. It is a natural wax, and all I have to do is fire the frame from dust, killing mold and bacteria. You can see that the hive cover is not in the best condition, but it can all be restored. This is handmade quality work. This hole is needed for ventilation, and the mesh is needed for the bees to fly in through one entrance. Now these partitions are all cleaned, burnt, and will be temporarily stored in a cleaned, burnt hive. I will close the hive itself to prevent insects from getting in. Now I will start firing the other parts of the hive. These boards are also needed to limit the working space of bees, but from above. They cover the upper part of the hive. I definitely shall hurry up. Nice. In total, I have collected and prepared 3 whole hives. The rest of the hives I used to store material for the hives or left in disassembled condition. This video wasn't taken in one day, because many things do not change in one day. After a while, I discovered that there were bees flying around one hive. Realizing that I would soon have to work with them, I bought a beekeeper suit from a used clothing website. It cost me $20. You may have noticed that I buy many things that have already been used, as many things cost many times and sometimes dozens of times more. After purchasing the suit, I continued with the hive work that I hadn't completed earlier. I need to screw the roof to the boards with self-tapping screws, as many of them fell out. I bought short self-tapping screws and screwed on some of the roofs that were not holding well. All that work seems boring and unimportant, but it is an integral part of a beekeeper's or farmer's routine. Just like cleaning the house, cooking, taking care of clothes, furniture, and so on. Only it is much more complicated. So, more than 2 months have passed since I got my small apiary. I tried to sort all of them and I made 3 good so that they were ready for bees. So wild bees liked one of them and they live here around 2 months, I think. Let's check their lives. The smell is wonderful. I will try to show you their lives and their movements. They are pretty sleepy now because it is autumn and they are getting ready to go to sleep. I don't know how they will behave. Firstly, even though I want to take care of them, they see it as an invasion and are ready to defend the hive. Secondly, they are wild, angry bees, not a varietal species. Overall, where would the varietal bees come here from at all? So I'm taking things very slowly and very carefully. An empty frame looks like this. They didn't fill it with honey because this bee family is too weak. It looks amazing, isn't it? And this frame, it was broken. Can you see this? This frame was half broken and bees repaired it. They didn't have enough time and didn't have enough strength to fill it with honey, but they made a new frame out of this. And this material is very precious. This frame was also partly repaired by bees, and you can see it. Like, I will try to show you. Like, do you see difference? This was ready, and this part was built by bees. You see that they are uneven. They work hard to survive, but anyway, I doubt that they will survive this winter, and I cannot help them, unfortunately. So you see then, in fact, more than a half of frames are empty, and this means that they do not have enough strength and they do not have enough honey to survive. They're a little bit worried, and this noise, these bees, they are soldiers, and they are ready to defend their family. Unfortunately, currently I don't have any tools for working with them, so I do it without tools as I can. Oh, it is full, almost full. There is a special knife to separate glue frames. There are many different tools specifically for working with bees, and you cannot take a regular knife and work with it. It will not work that way. You see, I made them angry. You can hear that the humming has increased. The bees don't like me disturbing them so actively. But so far, they are not attacking me. This frame is it is almost empty. I wanted to check them for several reasons. Firstly, I wanted to check the condition, the amount of honey, and the possibility of their survival. Secondly, I wanted to understand if there are any moth larvae or ticks like varroa ticks. And thirdly, I wanted to find the queen, but visually I couldn't understand where she is and I couldn't find her. By the way, the best time for checking bees is the sunrise, the time when bees are still sleepy, because in the evening it might be already cold for them and they will be angry. I still don't know whether I have allergy or not. Blood tests in laboratory showed that I do not have allergy, but the fact is that after several bites, the allergy might appear. It depends on the reaction of your body, on your immunity. There are no frames here and here. I left frames only in this part because they don't need them. there are almost no flowers now, and they will not be able to fill it up with honey. So this amount is enough for them to fill it up with honey, and I hope to survive. This one is empty, and I will store unnecessary frames here now. Here is no moss larva, so I can store them here as well. Here also no moss larva. This one is also clean. Here are moss larva leaves, and I need to get rid of this. So I clean this frame from moss larva as much as I can, but anyway, I will store them here. Like, just to be sure that other frames will not be infected. So this is how the process of checking goes. And I hope that you like it, and I hope that next spring I will show you more, and I will have a complete apiary, not just one of them, not just one. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in next videos. It was Valeria, the off-road ranch. I wish you all the best and see you soon. So this is the middle of October, and let's check how bees feel now. I know that there is still not the end of the season, but I would like to provide you with relevant content. They're sleepy, they're angry because it is already cold, despite the fact that I made the hive warm. And those few of them that I saw, they are soldiers that still try to defend the hive from other insects, for example. And I will not open the hive now, since I don't want to bother them. I will do it later, and honestly talking, I don't think that they survive anyway, even if I bring them natural honey or sugar with water and so on. But we will see later.